you discover your passion for the arts and storytelling?
I was a very artsy kid and I loved anything to do with singing and dancing, and I played violin and I tried to get my hands in everything that I could, but the one thing that I was actually scared of was theater.
Hmm.
So I actually didn't go into theater, and my mom kept pushing me and pushing me. And I kept telling her no. And then later on, I was kind of modeling in my earlier years, and my modeling agent started to kind of push me to try and get into film and try and get into acting. And I told her no as well because it made me really nervous. But she forced me to take an acting class, and that was probably when I was 18 or 19. And I fell in love with it, and I loved it, and I couldn't put it down, and just kept trying and trying and trying until now.
That actually might be the answer to this next question. But when you look at your career as a whole, who or what has had the biggest influence, either personally or professionally?
I would say, one of my teachers growing up, he was one of my music teachers, Mr. Rempel, and he had a big influence on me. I remember running into him at a store one time, and it was when I left school, and I was trying to actually get into medicine instead
Mhm.
of my first couple of years was in university was in science, and that was kind of the path I was going on. And he kind of um, he saw me and he pulled me aside. He was like, "What are you doing these days?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm going into science and maybe going to medicine." He was like, "You have so much talent in the arts. I feel like you should go into something like that." And it kind of like, it took me back a little bit. I was like, "Oh, yeah, maybe I could." And then, maybe a year later, that's when I kind of made the decision to go into acting. But he had a huge impact on me.
You've shared in other interviews that you recently started writing your own projects. Have you found that your experience behind the camera has impacted the way that you approach your work on screen?
Yeah, I feel like it all kind of inspires me behind the camera and in front of the camera. And I feel like I'm still very new to writing, so I'm still trying to find my way through it, and it's kind of this uh, weird journey of not really know what I'm doing and finding inspiration from things. But um, I feel like being on camera and understanding how technically it works, it does help how I write and the structure of things. But it's, it's hit and miss. I'm still figuring it out as I go along.
You've also been incredibly open about the ups and downs of this industry. During those more challenging times, how were you able to persevere?
Yeah, I feel like just being true to myself and just not giving up. I feel like that's just half the battle is, you know, people will kind of put you down. I've had definitely my share of directors and casting directors, put me in my place. And um, I feel like all of them kind of taught me something along the journey. And uh, I've taken away something from each of them, even if it was negative. So I feel like not just, it's so cliche, but just really not giving up and not in, telling them that I'm going to prove them wrong one day has really helped me.
Yeah, you're definitely doing that. You've got a new project coming out soon. Can you tell us about SkyMed, your character, and what drew you to this role?
Yeah, so SkyMed, it's loosely based on the creator Julie's family. So her sister and brother-in-law were actually a flight nurse and a pilot in Northern Canada. So it's loosely based on their life, and it follows kind of the, trials, tribulations, triumphs of flight nurses and pilots in Northern Canada. And my character, her name is Crystal Highway, and she is a flight nurse. And she flies air ambulances up north and kind of lives in a crew house with all of the other characters you'll see in the show. And she's definitely the mama bear of everyone. She's kind of the veteran, been around the longest, and doesn't really take anyone's crap. There's a little bit of animosity at the beginning, you'll see, with the new flight nurse, and you'll kind of see their relationship kind of evolve over the course of the show. And there's a lot of things that I think every character is kind of running from. And, you know, especially Crystal has her own demons in the show. But I think that the writers did an amazing job of creating just wonderful, just full character arcs for everybody. And I felt really lucky to be able to play the role of Crystal. When I first read the script, I really loved it. I've always loved medical shows, and I grew up watching like House with my dad, and I love Grey's Anatomy. So this was really fun, and it felt really different because there's, you know, there's pilots involved. We're in the air, you know, you're 20,000 feet in the air trying to save people's lives. So that's already super high stakes. And I think that was partially what drew me to the show.
You got to meet Julie's family as part of your preparation. How helpful was that as you stepped into Crystal's shoes? And did that bring a different weight knowing that these are real life circumstances that somebody's experienced?
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of what is in the show is actually based on real life events. And so it was really awesome to hear kind of, you know, their stories and what they had to go through. And I think it's going to show people that, you know, when you live in a city, you really are privileged. It makes you kind of second guess everything that you grew up in. Well, because I grew up in the city of Winnipeg, and you don't have to second guess about going to a hospital and finding those resources. And then hearing their stories, it's lack of resources, it's lack of funding, it's having to fly to remote communities to save people's lives and bring them to a place that, you know, would have all of those resources. So it was really awesome to learn from them, and we got a lot of training from them. We also had a on-set EMT. We called him Medical Steve, and he helped us with all of our medical training as well. So yeah, we felt very taken care of throughout the show.
There's such a great chemistry amongst all of the characters in the crew house. How did you and the cast build that bond?
Yeah, so honestly, our cast is really like a family. We all immediately got along with each other. It's funny because in the show we all live in a crew house
Yeah.
together, and when we were filming it, we actually all lived in the same apartment building.
Oh,
So,
cool.
you know, we all would leave our doors open, you know, who's having game night, who's, you know, doing movie night. We would work out together, you know, we did a lot together. So I think that the relationships that we built off screen you'll see will reflect on screen. And we really are like a really tight knit unit, and we talk every day. So yeah.
Yeah, it definitely comes across on screen. And like you were saying earlier, not only are we going to see these high stakes situations that these characters find themselves on the job, but we'll also see what they're dealing with personally. What can you tease about Crystal's arc in season one?
Oh, I don't know how much I can give away, but she is definitely running from her past a little bit, and you'll see throughout the show that she's trying to cover for somebody that she deeply cares about, and you know, gets into a few tips with people along the way. But there's a common, you know, theme throughout the show, and when we're talking with the creator Julie about it, and it's we take care of our own. And I feel like Crystal takes that very seriously.
Yeah.
And right to the end of the season, you'll see that she really cares for the people around her deeply. So yeah, but you just have to watch to find out.
Great teaser. Which of Crystal's relationships was your favorite to explore in season one, and why?
The relationships, I would say you know, there's a couple that, I mean, all the relationships were, you know, great to explore, but I feel like the one with Natasha's character Haley was was the best. And it's like you'll see our relationship with each other evolve over the season, and we do come to terms with one another, and you'll see that we do find a common ground. And yeah, I really liked exploring that you know, that friendship, that sense of relationship with another, you know, female nurse, and
Yeah.
taking care of each other. So I really liked that aspect of it.
Representation has been such a driving force throughout your career. And you've brought these characters and stories that are not often depicted in mainstream media onto the screen. What has it meant to you to be a part of projects like this that are pushing these inclusive storylines forward?
Yeah, I think that it's, you know, we're reflecting the world that we live in, and representation is important in all aspects. And I think on screen and off screen, the show did an amazing job at doing that. And you know, we had a very diverse writing room as well, and our crew was very diverse. And one of the other actors on the show, Praneet, he puts it really well, and says this a lot, is that, you know, it doesn't always have to be about our ethnicity. You know, you can be who you are and just be, you know, a badass nurse, and that's, you know, completely valid. And I feel like that's just a proper reflection of the world that we live in. And having diversity is just you know, it's important to to our work and our everyday life. So I'm proud to be a part of it, and I'm proud to be part of such a diverse cast and crew. And yeah.
Great answer. I got one final question for you. This is such an exciting time in your career. As you look ahead to the next 5, 10 years, is there a dream role that you would love to bring to life on the screen?
I feel like I have lots of dream roles. I kind of just take it as it comes. And I've always wanted to be in a rom-com. I'm still putting it out there. I've never been in a rom-com. I grew up loving them. So that's one. I love, you know, in indies and independent films. And you know, I feel like every actor says A24. So I I love what they do. I feel like I would, you know, I just take it as it comes and see what the universe brings me. But yeah.